On an autumn evening, I was sitting in a sushi bar near the subway. There was nothing to do. I slept well and went for a walk, but the weather noticeably deteriorated, which caused the subsequent nightmare. I still regret that I didn't stay at home that day, that the devil carried me to this fatal place, where I hid from the rain and cold. But apparently this was a whim of fate. So, I ordered dessert and a pot of fragrant tea, my favorite green with an exotic aroma. I sat for quite a long time looking out the window at the rain, thoughtfully drawing patterns on a napkin. I didn't notice how I wrote welcome and even circled it twice. Suddenly, in the reflection of the window, I saw a man come up to my table. I turned around, thinking it was a waiter, but the man was dressed in an ordinary black suit, clearly not in the uniform of an employee of the restaurant. His hair and shoulders were wet, as if he had been outside for some time without an umbrella or outerwear. In his hands he held a rose, pale blue, very beautiful. The stranger smiled charmingly, placed the rose next to me and, without a word, sat down in the vacant chair opposite. The cup was right in front of him. The man, without asking, still smiling silently, poured himself a cup of tea and looked out the window. The man was smiling, and I smiled back at him, like a good old friend. It's hard to say how much time has passed like this. For no reason at all, the man got up and went to the exit, making an inviting gesture to me. I threw on my coat, left the order money on the table, and quickened my pace to keep up with my stranger. I was completely overwhelmed by an inexplicable euphoria. I literally flew down the street after him. The rose had become much brighter in the rain, as if it had been soaked by drops of blue paint instead of water. The stranger was walking faster and faster, still in his suit, bareheaded. I almost ran, no longer avoiding the puddles soaking the thin leather of my shoes. I wanted to laugh. The whole world seemed bright and beautiful. We were walking through some courtyards. The area was unfamiliar. There were almost no people because of the bad weather. It was dark. I suddenly thought that I would follow this man to the ends of the earth. He seemed to read my thoughts, turned around for a second, and I saw his smile again. I bumped into him when he stopped abruptly. We were behind some garages. I remembered it vaguely. The world became blurred, and my thoughts were confused. I was already smiling automatically. My emotions were separate from me. Images come to mind of him pulling out an ordinary knife, served with dessert or hot, and holding it out to me, still smiling. I started cutting my legs, laughing back at him. It was awkward to cut. The knife was slipping, the blood was flowing too much. Finally, the first pieces of meat fell on the withered grass. It gave me new strength. I was laughing, and the rain was blurring my eyes. I didn't feel any pain. My fingers were numb, my heart was pounding, and my eyes were filled with colored circles. But the further I went, the easier it became. The last thing I remember is my stranger's approving smile. Further darkness. I woke up in the hospital with terrible pain in my legs. As it turned out, I was found near the garage by late passers-by. I was lying in a pool of blood. My legs were scraped almost to the bone, pieces of meat were scattered around, and a blue rose was next to me. The muscles on the legs are twisted and cannot be restored. I say this, and they went terribly at the first snow. Everything is torn apart. It burns with fire simply. How the hell did this even happen? How could you go after a strange man who knows where? Why didn't I get hurt? I don't understand what it was. Hypnosis or I'm out of my mind. Who was this man? I'm crying out of desperation. I don't think I'll ever be able to walk properly, not limp halfway, not fall on a particularly bony right. I see this man in every reflection when it's raining or sleet outside. I dream about him every night. Do you know what he says to me in my sleep? You called me here. Welcome. And he smiles like an old friend, whom we will certainly meet again.
I created the channel quite recently. Please write in the comments what I need to change in the video. Please support me by liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks.